1. Comparing yourself to someone else. When we were younger, our parents or teachers may have compared us with other kids. They might have had the intention of trying to help us get better in certain aspects of our life. But what happened most times is that this kind of comparison just made us feel worse. We carry the notion that we're not good enough even into adulthood, and the effects are similar, if not the same. When you compare yourself to another person, what you're doing is measuring yourself against an unrealistic standard, because that person's circumstances and yours are entirely different. You aren't raised the same. You don't have the same amount of money, education, or experience, and so on. Basically, it isn't a fair comparison. There are so many factors to consider that make your situations too different to compare. Using other people to gauge how successful we are is a really bad mindset to have. The only thing it does is create jealousy and self-pity. And the sad part is that we sometimes create the same mentality in our children that was instilled in us when we were kids. Know that you know your life is different from the person next to you. The only person you should compare yourself to is your old self. When you compare yourself to the former you, the you of yesterday, the comparison is fair because you're measuring yourself with the same person, with the same circumstances, and you know you stand a chance of being better. It only becomes about how far you've come and not about anyone else. We're all unique and have something to offer this world. Focus on how far you've come and stop looking down on yourself and continue to improve yourself. Comparing yourself to someone who is ahead of you only leaves you disappointed and frustrated. And when that happens, you easily give up. But the thing about competing with yourself is that it leads to a habit of growth and lifelong learning. Comparison is the thief of joy. Don't let it keep you from your happiness. 2. Getting little sleep. We tend to overlook how important sleep is. We sacrifice a good night's sleep because we have to stay up late to study or finish something for work. The thing about not getting enough rest is that the hours you spend awake piles up, and like any other debt, it'll have to be paid at some point. Sleeping less interferes with your body's ability to heal and recuperate. Your immune system suffers as a result. And this doesn't just affect our physical body, but our mind as well. Skipping sleep slows your ability to process information and solve problems. It drains your creativity and heightens your stress levels. Getting little sleep for a long time interferes with our ability to process information and make right decisions. You might be under the impression that staying up late is good for your academics and career, but you're actually jeopardizing them and your health as well. The few moments of being ahead after skipping sleep are quickly brushed aside by the effects of being sleep deprived. Some say that the detrimental effects of sleep deprivation are so great that even drunk people perform better than those who lack sleep. You might think that there are better things to do than just sleep, but you couldn't be any more wrong. Do yourself a favor and retire to bed at a decent hour, and get the rest your body needs to take on a new day. So the next time you tell yourself you'll sleep when you're dead, just know that you're making a choice that's bringing that day even closer. 3. Focusing on the negative. There are 2 ways you could react to any situation. You can sulk and complain about how life is so unfair, or you could look at what actually works and put your energy towards making it better. Thinking negatively can do some serious damage to our psyche and increase the risk of mental health-related issues. Thinking about the negative has the potential to reduce your motivation and create feelings of helplessness. And this leads to stress and, in some cases, depression. Other consequences of having negative thoughts include limited thinking, where you continuously tell yourself you can't do something to the extent that you actually believe it. You also become a perfectionist, where nothing you do is ever good enough. Focusing on the downside of things also affects your relationships and keeps you from taking advantage of the opportunities that may present themselves. And all these things only make your life miserable. Set your sights on the things that bring you joy and satisfaction. Nobody's life is perfect, but choosing to see the good in it makes life a little more worth living. 4. Holding on to the past. One way or another, our past is responsible for making us who we are today, but we don't necessarily have to keep holding on to it. This sort of habit just leaves you feeling disoriented and miserable. An old Arab proverb says, you should write the bad things that happen to you in the sand so that they are easily swept from your mind. But most of us tend to engrave them in marble, allowing these painful memories to be etched in our minds. We're constantly carrying around our mistakes, our failures, our hurts and disappointments. But the only way to live in the present and plan well for the future is to learn how to let them go. The past only holds you back, hurts your present, and ruins your future. The whole purpose of your previous mistakes is to teach you vital life lessons and not have you replay it over and over in your head like some broken cassette player. Never allow your past to dictate what your present or future looks like. Accept that you can't change what already happened and focus on what lies ahead. Keep in mind that every minute you spend dwelling on the past is a minute of your present time that you're missing out on. You have the power to create the life that you've always wanted to live. Give yourself the chance to be happy. You're responsible for your well-being and happiness. Let go of the past, stand firm in the present, and prepare to step confidently into the future. 5. Procrastinating. We've all heard the saying, what you can do tomorrow, do today, and what you can do today, do it now. You might have a valid reason for postponing something that you were meant to do now to a later time. But the only realistic reasons to why you would fail to accomplish a particular task would be, you aren't ready to do it, you're a perfectionist and want to wait for the right moment, or you're just plain lazy. The question to ask yourself is, what is it that you're so busy doing that you can't do what you initially planned to do? Complete your task first, then go back to whatever it is you were doing. You'll discover that you're much more comfortable and relaxed because you don't have anything looming over your head. The negative effects of procrastination can range from simply missing a deadline on something important to something more long-term, such as missing out on an opportunity to fulfill your dream. Some of us are fortunate enough to pick up on this and do something about it, but not everyone is as lucky. Our reasons for procrastinating varies from one person to the next and isn't always known. It could be a fear that we don't want to face, or maybe we aren't up for doing something that doesn't motivate us. If you're a procrastinator, regardless of your reasons, be careful how you handle it because it could have some serious damaging effects you may not readily realize. 6. Being late. Keeping time is one skill that you shouldn't lack, and it's not just about showing up on time. It also says a lot about the kind of person you are. When you have a meeting or appointment scheduled and you arrive as agreed, it shows you value the other person's time. Leaving someone to wait for you to arrive because you just had to spend a few extra minutes in the shower, or you just had to find the right pair of shoes to go with your outfit, is just plain rude, especially when they've gone out of their way to make time for you. Of course, some things may come up and you just can't be there on time, but at least let someone know in advance. The temptation to do just one more thing before you leave is always there. A researcher at San Diego State University found in his study that those who multitask were those who were often late to work. He concluded that the more likely reason for this is that attempting to do everything at once makes it difficult to keep track of what you're doing. Most lateness is accredited to traffic, oversleeping, bad weather, being too tired to get up, and procrastination. You could be a perfectionist and can only be content when things are perfect. You like the thrill of being rushed and doing things last minute. Or maybe your subconscious is trying to tell you that you don't actually want to be there. Sometimes it's an underlying issue you need to address. Some people are just thoughtless. But most times it has nothing to do with personality, intent, or motivation. It's just a bad habit that can be done away with a little more effort and attention to your routine. 7. Staying in toxic relationships. Toxic and abusive relationships are really hard to understand for you as a person on the outside looking in. You may wonder why someone chooses to stay, knowing full well that they're not being treated the right way. Trying to explain to someone why they should leave the relationship, especially when it's so clear that such a relationship isn't good for their physical, emotional, and mental well-being, can be hard. There's a number of reasons why someone may stay in a toxic relationship. We all know that relationships can be complicated, but not all the time. Sometimes you find someone who listens to you and is there to support you after a long, exhausting day, and it could be someone you see yourself spending the rest of your life with. But bad relationships exist as well, and this could be due to a lot of reasons, but generally, relationships that are toxic are linked to a psychological process known as idealization. And what this is the concept or idea of the ideal or perfect partner. And this is usually rooted into your unconscious or semi-conscious desires that have been influenced by culture and biology. And according to a professor of clinical psychiatry and behavioral sciences, Linda Weinberger, these influences blind people to the red flags that can be plain as day to friends and family, or everyone else except the person experiencing this. You may be aware of being in a toxic relationship, or you may not. But regardless, your mental health is negatively impacted. You can feel bad about yourself, feel insecure, and end up sad and drained. You even place pressure on yourself to change a certain part of yourself. Aside from affecting your mental health, it can also impact your physical health. A study found that being in a negative relationship increases the risk of developing heart-related problems as compared to someone who's in a healthy relationship. You're constantly stressed and tired because the constant fight or flight mode you're in that causes your body to produce adrenaline and quickly expel the rest. Eventually you're fatigued and your immune system is significantly weakened. But if you're in such a position, there's still hope. There's a solution which you can consider, if only for your health's sake. You have the option of mending the relationship, if the person is willing, or in the relationship entirely. Because one thing's for sure, is that a bad relationship is not worth the toll it takes on your body. 8. Smoking, drinking, overeating. These are habits that are linked directly to your health. They do more harm than good, but many seem to overlook the implications. Maybe because the effects are not immediate, and therefore aren't as concerned. Whatever the reason, it would be best to get rid of these habits as soon as possible. Overeating is fast becoming a major issue because of all the damage it does to our health. Not being in touch with your body's natural hunger and satisfaction signals can result in chronic overeating and the addition of extra pounds, which will likely lead to diabetes, heart disease, and other chronic diseases. But if you're determined, you can change your eating habits and get to a much healthier and manageable weight. This can be done by paying attention to your hunger signals and swapping your unhealthy snacks for more healthy and nutritious ones. This boosts nutrition, puts a damper on cravings, and helps you lose the extra pounds. When it comes to alcohol, a glass or two once in a while isn't so bad, but overindulging has serious effects on your health. Excessive alcohol consumption is linked to liver damage, cancer, and a high blood pressure. But the moment you cut back, your digestion becomes so much better, and you'll feel better as well. Your blood sugar levels become steadier, and even your brain functions better. Limiting your intake also reduces your chances of getting into a car accident. Your energy levels improve, and your relationships with friends and family become better, if it brought about issues before. There isn't a habit that's as harmful to your body as smoking. Studies show that it automatically causes 30% of heart disease deaths, 30% of cancer deaths, and an 80 to 90% of all cancers related to the lungs. It also increases the chances of developing cancer of the mouth, throat, and bladder. This habit increases the chance of heart attacks, high blood pressure, and can also trigger breathing difficulties, such as asthma and bronchitis. The effects of quitting are almost immediate, as within a month your lungs function better, you cough less, and you're more energetic. It reduces the risk of getting the health conditions aforementioned, and as a bonus, you're once again able to breathe fresh air. The smell of tobacco leaves your clothes, and your skin looks younger. Quitting can be challenging, but you could always look up the best ways to start your journey. Quitting a habit is no easy endeavor, but once you take the first step of accepting that, it's holding you back. Anything becomes possible. It will take time, but remember that it also took time to form it in the first place. Form new positive habits starting today, and see how much better your life will be. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next one.